Flying is more than just a hobby. It's a calling that whispers to those who dare to dream beyond the horizon. For many aspiring pilots across America, the journey begins not with whether they want to fly, but whether they can actually afford to own their own aircraft. The truth is, the aviation world has been keeping a secret from you. While most people assume airplane ownership is reserved for the wealthy elite, there exists a select group of aircraft that challenge this notion entirely. These planes combine affordability with safety, reliability with performance, and accessibility with the pure joy of flight. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 5 aircraft that are revolutionizing what it means to be a pilot in America. These aren't fragile ultralights or compromised budget options that sacrifice your safety for a lower price tag. No, these are legitimate, certified aircraft with decades of proven track records, thousands of satisfied owners, and safety statistics that would make even the most cautious pilot feel confident. Whether you're a student pilot dreaming of your first solo cross-country flight, a private pilot looking to build hours without emptying your bank account, or someone who simply wants to experience the freedom of personal aviation, what you're about to discover could change your life. But here's what makes this even more interesting. The aviation market is shifting. Right now, at this very moment, there's a unique window of opportunity for new pilots. Experienced aviators are upgrading to more complex aircraft, flight schools are refreshing their fleets, and a generation of pilots is transitioning into retirement. This means the supply of quality, affordable training aircraft is at an all-time high. The question isn't whether you can afford to fly, it's whether you're ready to take advantage of this moment before it passes. We've done the research, analyzed the market data, consulted with aviation experts, mechanics, and experienced pilots who've logged thousands of hours in these exact aircraft. We've looked at acquisition costs, operating expenses, maintenance reliability, parts availability, insurance rates, and most importantly, safety records. What we found surprised even us. These 5 aircraft don't just meet the minimum requirements for beginner pilots, they exceed them in ways that will have you questioning why anyone would pay more. Before we reveal our top 5 picks, let me ask you something. What would it mean to you to own your own airplane? Imagine having the freedom to fly whenever you want, wherever you want. No more scheduling conflicts with flight schools. No more hourly rental fees eating into your budget. No more limitations on your aviation dreams. Picture yourself planning weekend getaways to coastal towns, flying over mountain ranges at sunrise, or simply taking an evening flight to watch the sunset from 3,000 feet. This isn't a fantasy reserved for the privileged few. This is the reality that awaits you with the right aircraft choice. Now, I know what you're thinking. There has to be a catch, right? These planes must be ancient, unsafe, or require constant expensive maintenance. That's exactly what the industry wants you to believe, because it keeps you renting and paying premium prices. But the truth is far more empowering. The aircraft we're about to reveal have been refined over decades. They've had every bug worked out, every weakness addressed, every system optimized. They represent the pinnacle of proven aviation technology, where simplicity meets reliability and affordability meets safety. So fasten your seatbelt, set your altitude to learning mode, and prepare for takeoff. We're about to explore 5 aircraft that could make your aviation dreams not just possible, but practical. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to make an informed decision about which plane could be sitting in your hangar. And trust me, what you're about to learn could save you tens of thousands of dollars while putting you in a safer, more capable aircraft than you ever imagined possible. Let's begin our journey through the 5 cheap but incredibly safe planes that are perfect for beginner pilots across America. 5. Cessna 182 Skylane. The Cessna 182 Skylane stands as one of the most beloved and respected aircraft in general aviation history, and for excellent reasons that go far beyond its iconic status. This 4-seat, single-engine aircraft has been in continuous production since 1956, which speaks volumes about its enduring design excellence and market demand. For beginner pilots who are ready to step up from basic trainers or those looking for their first aircraft purchase, the 182 offers an exceptional combination of capability, reliability, and value that's difficult to match in its class. Let's talk performance first, because this is where the Skylane truly shines. Powered by a Lycoming IO 540 engine producing 230 horsepower in most modern variants, the Cessna 182 delivers impressive performance that gives pilots real cross-country capability. The aircraft cruises comfortably at around 140 knots, which translates to approximately 161 miles per hour. This isn't just adequate speed, it's genuinely useful speed that makes regional travel practical and efficient. The range is equally impressive, with the ability to fly approximately 800 to 900 nautical miles, depending on the specific model and configuration, giving you roughly 5 to 6 hours of flight time with reserves. What makes the 182 particularly appealing for American pilots is its versatility across the diverse geography of the United States. Need to fly from coastal cities to mountain destinations? The Skylane's service ceiling of 1,800 feet means you can safely clear most terrain in the continental United States with altitude to spare. Planning a trip from the Midwest to the Rockies? The aircraft's useful load of approximately 1,000 to 2,100 pounds means you can carry 4 adults with baggage and still have fuel capacity for a substantial journey. This isn't a plane that forces you to choose between passengers, fuel, and luggage. It actually lets you take meaningful trips with family or friends. The fuel consumption of the Cessna 182 is remarkably reasonable given its performance capabilities. You're looking at approximately 12 to 14 gallons per hour during cruise flight, depending on your power settings and altitude. Yes, this is higher than smaller two-seat trainers, but consider what you're getting for that fuel burn. You're moving 4 people nearly twice as fast as a Cessna 150 with far greater comfort and capability. When you calculate the cost per nautical mile or per person mile, the 182 actually becomes quite economical for its mission profile. From a handling perspective, the 182 offers characteristics that make it incredibly suitable for pilots transitioning from simpler aircraft. The controls are responsive but forgiving, with enough stability to inspire confidence while still providing the feedback that helps pilots develop proper technique. The aircraft's relatively high wing loading compared to lighter trainers means it handles moderate turbulence better, making cross-country flights more comfortable. The constant speed propeller, while adding a layer of complexity beyond fixed-pitch trainers, is intuitive to learn and opens up new dimensions of aircraft performance management that every advancing pilot needs to master. One of the Skylane's greatest strengths is its short-field performance, particularly with the later models. The aircraft can operate from runways as short as 1,500 to 2,000 feet in ideal conditions, though most pilots prefer at least 2,500 feet for comfortable margins. This capability opens up hundreds of airports across America that larger, faster aircraft simply cannot access. Whether you're exploring backcountry strips in Idaho, visiting small coastal towns in the Carolinas, or accessing remote airports in Alaska, the 182 has the performance envelope to get you there safely. Safety features in the Cessna 182 are comprehensive and have been refined over decades of production. The high-wing configuration provides excellent visibility for ground reference flying and offers the inherent safety benefit of keeping the fuel tanks above the cabin, away from potential impact zones. The aircraft's structure is robust, built to handle the stresses of flight training environments while providing protection for occupants. Modern 182s come equipped with advanced avionics, including Garmin G1000 glass cockpit systems in many variants, providing pilots with exceptional situational awareness, autopilot capabilities, and integrated traffic and weather information. The maintenance picture for the Cessna 182 is one of the most favorable in general aviation, which is crucial for keeping operating costs manageable. Parts availability is excellent thanks to the aircraft's long production run and enormous fleet size. There are thousands of 182s flying across America, which means mechanics are intimately familiar with the aircraft, and service centers are widely distributed. This isn't an exotic aircraft where you'll struggle to find someone qualified to work on it or wait months for specialized parts. Annual inspection costs typically run between $1,500 to $3,000, depending on location and any squawks that need addressing, which is very reasonable for an aircraft of this capability. The insurance costs for a Cessna 182 are surprisingly accessible for qualified pilots. As a beginner with proper training and appropriate certifications, you can expect annual insurance premiums in the range of $1,500 to $3,000 for a hull value around $150,000 to $200,000. As you build time and experience in type, these costs typically decrease. The key is to get proper transition training and maintain a clean safety record, both of which are good practices regardless of insurance considerations. Now let's address the most important question for budget-conscious pilots. What does a Cessna 182 actually cost? The market offers a wide range, depending on age, condition, total time, engine time, and avionics upgrades. A well-maintained 1970s model can be found in the $80,000 to $120,000 range, offering tremendous value for pilots willing to work with older but serviceable avionics. Moving into the 1980s and 1990s, prices typically range from $120,000 to $200,000, with these aircraft often featuring more modern panels and lower total time. For those wanting the latest technology, late model and new Cessna 182s with glass cockpits and modern engines command prices from $300,000 to over $500,000, though these fall outside the cheap category for most beginner pilots. The sweet spot for value-conscious buyers is typically a late 1970s to early 1980s Skylane with updated avionics. These aircraft offer proven airframes with decades of reliable service remaining, often with modern GPS navigation and communication equipment at prices that make ownership realistic for middle-class pilots. With proper pre-purchase inspection and a clear maintenance history, these aircraft can provide decades of safe, reliable service. The Cessna 182's training ecosystem is another massive advantage. Because the aircraft is so common in the general aviation fleet, finding instructors with 182 experience is straightforward. Most insurance companies require between 5 to 10 hours of dual instruction for pilots new to the type, which is a small investment that pays enormous dividends in safety and confidence. The aircraft's docile handling characteristics mean this transition training is genuinely enjoyable rather than stressful, and most pilots find themselves comfortable and confident in the 182 very quickly. For cross-country flying, which is where most private pilots spend the majority of their time, the Cessna 182 truly excels. The useful load allows you to fill the seats, pack bags, and still have fuel for 800-plus nautical miles with reserves. The cruise speed means you're covering ground efficiently without the fuel burn of faster, complex aircraft. The range means you can plan trips across multiple states without fuel stops, opening up weekend destinations that would be impractical in slower aircraft. And the cabin comfort, with ample space for 4 adults and climate control in most models, makes those longer flights genuinely pleasant rather than endurance tests. The Skylane also offers a clear upgrade path for growing pilots. As you build experience, the same aircraft that served you as a beginner continues to be capable and relevant. You can add instrument ratings, commercial certificates, and build the hours needed for advanced certifications, all in an aircraft you already own and know intimately. Many professional pilots maintain personal Cessna 182s even after moving to more complex or larger aircraft, because the 182 simply does everything well without drama or excessive cost. In the context of American aviation, the Cessna 182 represents something special. It's the aircraft that has introduced hundreds of thousands of pilots to serious cross-country flying. It's taken families on vacations, helped businesses reach remote locations, supported medical missions, and enabled countless aviation dreams. Its combination of proven reliability, reasonable operating costs, excellent support network, and genuine capability makes it not just one of the best cheap planes for beginner pilots, but arguably one of the best aircraft values in all of general aviation. Number 4. Piper J3 Cub. The Piper J3 Cub is more than just an airplane. It's an American aviation icon that represents the pure, unfiltered essence of flying. First produced in 1938, this legendary aircraft taught countless pilots to fly, served admirably during World War II in observation and liaison roles, and continues to enchant pilots more than 8 decades after its introduction. For beginner pilots seeking an authentic stick and rudder flying experience at an affordable price point, the Cub offers something increasingly rare in modern aviation: simplicity, character, and a direct connection between pilot and aircraft that's simply magical. Let's establish what the Piper Cub is and isn't, because understanding this aircraft requires appreciating its mission and era. The J3 is a 2-seat tandem configuration, high-wing tail dragger powered by engines ranging from 40 to 90 horsepower, depending on the variant, with the most common being the 65-horsepower Continental A65. This isn't a cross-country speedster or a 4-seat family hauler. The Cub cruises at approximately 75 miles per hour, has a range of about 200 to 250 miles, and carries a useful load of around 450 to 500 pounds. These specifications might seem modest by modern standards, but they tell only part of the story. What the Cub lacks in raw performance, it more than compensates for in pure flying joy and practical utility for recreational aviation. The cruise speed of 65 to 75 miles per hour might seem slow, but this is actually perfect for low-altitude sightseeing and exploring the landscape. At this speed, you're moving fast enough to cover ground efficiently for local flying, yet slow enough to genuinely observe and appreciate the terrain below. The Cub excels at what aviation was originally meant to be: a way to explore your local area from a new perspective, to visit neighboring airports for the legendary $100 hamburger, and to simply enjoy the act of flying without the complexity or cost of more elaborate aircraft. The fuel consumption of the Piper Cub is almost laughably economical by aviation standards. Most J3s burn approximately 4 to 5 gallons per hour, which means you can fly for an entire afternoon on less fuel than many cars consume commuting to work. With modern automotive fuel STCs available for many Cubs, operating costs can be even further reduced by using regular unleaded automotive gasoline instead of 100 avgas. This translates to fuel costs often under $25 per hour, making the Cub one of the most economical aircraft to operate in all of general aviation. The handling characteristics of the Piper Cub are legendary, and for good reason. This aircraft demands and rewards proper pilot technique in ways that modern tricycle gear aircraft with training wheels simply don't. The tailwheel configuration means ground handling requires attention and skill, teaching pilots the critical importance of rudder control, coordination, and situational awareness. In the air, the light wing loading and responsive controls provide immediate feedback about every atmospheric condition, every control input, and every energy state change. Flying a Cub genuinely makes you a better pilot because the aircraft communicates so clearly and demands proper technique. The short-field performance of the J3 Cub is nothing short of remarkable and is one of its most practical advantages. With proper technique, a Cub can comfortably operate from grass strips as short as 500 to 800 feet, opening up flying opportunities that most aircraft can only dream of. This capability means you can access farm strips, mountain meadows, riverside sandbars, and hundreds of small airports across America that rarely see traffic from conventional aircraft. The Cub isn't just transportation, it's a portal to aviation adventure and exploration that's increasingly rare in our regulated and complex aviation environment. From a safety perspective, the Piper Cub's slow stall speed of approximately 38 to 40 miles per hour provides enormous margins and forgiving characteristics. Even if you mismanage the approach and stall close to the ground, the aircraft's gentle nature and slow speed limit the severity of potential incidents. The high-wing configuration provides excellent downward visibility and protects the cabin in the event of a rollover. The simple mechanical systems mean there's very little that can fail, and what exists is easily inspected and maintained. Many aviation safety experts consider the Cub one of the safest aircraft ever designed, not because of sophisticated systems, but because of inherent design simplicity and forgiving aerodynamics. The maintenance picture for the Piper Cub is exceptionally favorable, which is critical for keeping ownership costs under control. The aircraft's design is beautifully simple, with fabric-covered tube and wood construction that's well understood by thousands of A&P mechanics across America. Parts availability is excellent thanks to dedicated suppliers who specialize in Cub components, and the aircraft's popularity means there's an enormous knowledge base and support community. Annual inspections for a Cub in good condition typically run $800 to $1,500, which is among the lowest in certificated aircraft. Many routine maintenance tasks can be performed by the owner under supervision, further reducing costs. The fabric covering does require attention and eventual replacement, which is an important consideration for Cub ownership. Depending on care and climate, fabric might last 15 to 25 years before recovering becomes necessary. This is a significant expense, potentially $8,000 to $15,000, depending on whether you do the work yourself or hire it out, but it's a known and predictable cost that can be planned for. Many owners view recovering their Cub as a badge of honor and an opportunity to customize their aircraft's appearance, turning a maintenance requirement into a personalization project. Insurance for a Piper Cub is very reasonable, particularly for qualified tailwheel pilots. Annual premiums typically range from $500 to down $200 for hull coverage on aircraft, valued between $25,000 to $50,000, depending on pilot experience and claims history. The key is obtaining proper tailwheel training and demonstrating competency, which is essential regardless of insurance considerations. Most insurance companies require at least 5 to 10 hours of tailwheel dual instruction for pilots transitioning from tricycle gear aircraft, an investment that pays dividends in both safety and enjoyment. Now for the question every budget-conscious pilot asks, what does a Piper Cub actually cost? The market varies significantly based on condition, engine time, fabric condition, and specific variant. A well-maintained J3 Cub can be found in the $25,000 to $45,000 range, making it one of the most affordable certificated aircraft available. Cubs that need fabric work or engine overhauls can sometimes be found for $15,000 to $25,000, though buyers should carefully assess total restoration costs before committing. Pristine examples with recent fabric, low-time engines, and desirable modifications can command $50,000 to $70,000 or more. Though at these prices, other aircraft options become competitive. The sweet spot for value-oriented buyers is typically a Cub with 500 to 800 hours since major overhaul on the engine, fabric that's in good condition with 10+ years of life remaining, and a clean logbook history. These aircraft offer the best combination of affordability and reliability, providing years of economical flying without immediate major expenses. A thorough pre-purchase inspection by a mechanic familiar with Cubs is essential, as fabric and tube condition can vary dramatically and significantly impact value. The training ecosystem for Piper Cubs is robust and welcoming. Numerous flight schools across America offer tailwheel endorsements in Cubs or similar aircraft, and the tailwheel community is famously supportive and encouraging of new pilots. The learning curve for transitioning to tail draggers is real but manageable, and most pilots find the 5 to 10 hours required for competency to be among the most rewarding flying they've ever done. The skills learned in a Cub, particularly coordination, energy management and precision, transfer directly to all other aircraft and make you a fundamentally better pilot. The Cub's limitations should be acknowledged honestly. This is not an all-weather aircraft, and it shouldn't be treated as one. The Cub is a fair-weather recreational aircraft meant for day VFR flying in good conditions. It has minimal instruments, no electrical system in most variants, and certainly no sophisticated avionics or autopilot. The useful load limits you to one passenger and minimal baggage. The speed makes long cross-countries impractical. But here's the beautiful truth. Within its mission envelope, the Cub is absolutely perfect. And for many pilots, that mission envelope encompasses 90% of the flying they actually want to do. For recreational pilots who want to experience flying in its purest form, who value joy and adventure over speed and complexity, who want to access grass strips and backcountry airports, and who appreciate classic aviation heritage, the Piper J3 Cub represents extraordinary value. It's an aircraft that connects you directly to aviation's golden age, that teaches timeless piloting skills, that operates economically enough to fly regularly without financial stress, and that turns every flight into an event worth remembering. In a world of increasingly complex and expensive aircraft, the Cub reminds us why we fell in love with flying in the first place. 3. Cessna 172 Skyhawk. The Cessna 172 Skyhawk is the single most successful aircraft design in aviation history, with more than 44,000 examples produced since its introduction in 1956. This remarkable longevity and production volume speak to a fundamental truth. The 172 simply works. For beginner pilots across America, the Skyhawk represents the perfect balance of capability, reliability, affordability, and practicality. It's the aircraft that has trained more pilots than any other, yet it's equally capable as a personal transportation and recreational aircraft. If there's such a thing as the default choice for affordable aircraft ownership, the Cessna 172 absolutely fills that role. Let's start with performance, because the 172's specifications reveal why it's so versatile and beloved. Powered by a Lycoming 0320 engine, producing 150 to 160 horsepower in most common variants, the Skyhawk cruises at approximately 120 knots, which translates to about 138 miles per hour. This speed occupies a sweet spot, fast enough to make regional cross-country flights practical and enjoyable, yet not so fast that fuel consumption becomes prohibitive or handling becomes demanding. The range is impressive, at approximately 600 to 800 nautical miles, depending on the model and fuel configuration, giving you around 4 to 5 hours of flight time with reserves. The useful load of the Cessna 172 is one of its greatest practical advantages, particularly for newer models. Depending on the specific variant and equipment, useful loads range from approximately 800 pounds in older, heavily equipped models to over 1,000 pounds in newer, better optimized versions. This means you can typically carry 4 adults with partial fuel or 2 people with full fuel and significant baggage. For the realistic missions most private pilots fly, this loading flexibility is exactly what's needed. You're not constantly calculating weight and balance to the last pound or making difficult decisions about passengers versus fuel. Fuel consumption in the Cessna 172 is remarkably efficient given its capability. Most 172s burn approximately 8 to 9 gallons per hour at cruise power settings, meaning you can fly for nearly an hour on less fuel than many cars consume in the same time period. This efficiency is one reason the Skyhawk has been so successful as a training aircraft, where hundreds of hours are flown annually and fuel costs directly impact the bottom line. For private owners, this efficiency means flying is affordable enough to do regularly rather than being a special occasion activity reserved for perfect weather and special trips. The handling characteristics of the Cessna 172 are legendary for good reason. They're nearly perfect for training and perfectly adequate for experienced pilots. The aircraft is stable, predictable, and forgiving of technique errors, which builds confidence in new pilots while allowing them to focus on decision-making rather than fighting the aircraft. Controls are responsive enough to be engaging without being twitchy or sensitive. The tricycle landing gear makes ground handling straightforward and dramatically reduces the skill threshold compared to tailwheel aircraft. Many instructors describe the 172 as an aircraft that actively helps pilots learn rather than punishing mistakes. Short field performance in the Cessna 172 is respectable, with the aircraft capable of operating from runways as short as 1,500 to 2,000 feet under ideal conditions, though most pilots prefer at least 2,500 feet for comfortable margins. This capability means the vast majority of public airports across America are accessible, along with many private strips and smaller regional fields. While not matching the bush plane capability of a Piper Cub or purpose-built STOL aircraft, the 172 opens up enough airports to make exploration and adventure very much possible. Safety features in the Cessna 172 are comprehensive and have been continuously refined over nearly 7 decades of production. The high-wing configuration provides excellent visibility for traffic scanning and ground reference work, and it places the fuel tanks above the cabin in a relatively protected position. The aircraft structure is robust, designed to handle the stresses of training environments while protecting occupants. Modern 172s feature advanced safety equipment, including sophisticated avionics with terrain awareness, traffic alerting, and weather integration. The aircraft's gentle stall characteristics and substantial stability margins provide excellent safety buffers for less experienced pilots. The maintenance picture for the Cessna 172 is among the best in all of general aviation, which is absolutely critical for keeping operating costs manageable. Parts availability is exceptional thanks to continuous production and an enormous worldwide fleet. Cessna's parts support is comprehensive, and the aftermarket offers numerous alternatives for many components. Mechanics are intimately familiar with the 172, meaning you'll find qualified service practically anywhere in America. Annual inspections typically run $1,200 to $2,500, depending on location and any squawks discovered, which is very reasonable for a 4-seat aircraft. One significant advantage of the 172's long production run is the enormous knowledge base and support infrastructure. Online communities, type clubs, and forums provide immediate access to expertise for any question or issue. Service bulletins and airworthiness directives are well documented and understood. Common issues are known and preventable. This mature support ecosystem means you're never alone as an owner, and solutions to problems are typically well established and cost-effective. Insurance costs for a Cessna 172 are among the most reasonable in aviation, reflecting the aircraft's excellent safety record and the large pool of qualified pilots. As a beginner pilot with appropriate training, you can expect annual insurance premiums of approximately $1,000 to $2,000 for hull coverage on an aircraft valued at $50,000 to $100,000. As you build time in type and demonstrate consistent safety, these costs typically decrease. The key is obtaining proper transition training, even if you trained in a 172 for your license, as insurance companies favor recurrent instruction. Now for the critical question, what does Cessna 172 ownership actually cost? The market offers options across a wide price spectrum depending on age, total time, equipment, and condition. Older 1960s and 1970s models can be found in the $30,000 to $60,000 range, offering tremendous value for pilots willing to work with vintage avionics and higher total times. These aircraft often fly perfectly well and can provide decades of additional service with proper maintenance. Moving into the 1980s and 1990s, prices typically range from $60,000 to $120,000, with these aircraft often featuring more modern equipment and lower times. The sweet spot for many value-conscious buyers is a late 1970s to mid-1980s Cessna 172, with updated avionics and a mid-time or recently overhauled engine. These aircraft offer proven airframes with substantial life remaining, modern GPS and communication equipment for practical cross-country flying, and prices that make ownership realistic for middle-income pilots. Expect to invest $75,000 to $100,000 for a well-equipped example in good condition. For this investment, you're getting an aircraft that will reliably serve you for decades with proper care. The training ecosystem for the Cessna 172 is unmatched because it is the training ecosystem. Nearly every flight school in America operates 172s, meaning finding instructors with extensive experience in type is trivial. Insurance requirements for transitioning pilots are minimal, often just 5 hours of dual instruction because the aircraft's handling is so straightforward. This accessibility means you can become proficient quickly and affordably, getting to the enjoyable part of ownership without extended and expensive checkout processes. For cross-country flying, which represents the majority of private pilot missions, the Cessna 172 excels. The combination of reasonable speed, good range, comfortable cabin for four, and excellent avionics in modern examples makes regional travel practical and enjoyable. You can plan weekend trips across multiple states, visit family several hundred miles away, or explore coastal and mountain destinations, all while maintaining reasonable schedules and budgets. The 172 isn't the fastest way to cover these distances, but it's reliable, affordable, and proven. The Skyhawk also offers excellent growth potential for advancing pilots. The same aircraft that served for initial training continues to be capable and relevant for instrument ratings, commercial certificates, and hour building toward advanced certifications. Many professional pilots maintain personal 172s throughout their careers because the aircraft simply does everyday flying well without drama or excessive cost. The resale market is liquid and stable, meaning your investment retains value and can be recovered when circumstances change. In the broader context of American general aviation, the Cessna 172 represents something extraordinary: democratic access to flight. This is the aircraft that has made pilot certification achievable for millions of people who couldn't afford more expensive alternatives. It's taken families on vacations, enabled business travel to underserved locations, supported countless weekend adventures, and sustained the dream of recreational flying for generations. Its combination of proven reliability, affordable operation, excellent support, and genuine capability makes it not just a good choice for beginner pilots, but arguably the best choice for the largest number of pilots. 2. Cirrus SR-20. The Cirrus SR-20 represents a paradigm shift in general aviation, bringing modern design philosophy, advanced materials, and revolutionary safety features to personal aircraft ownership. Introduced in 1999, the SR-20 challenged conventional wisdom about what affordable aircraft could offer, featuring composite construction, side-stick controls, and most famously, the Cirrus airframe parachute system that can lower the entire aircraft safely to the ground in an emergency. For beginner pilots who want contemporary technology, impressive performance, and cutting-edge safety features, the SR-20 offers capabilities that simply didn't exist in general aviation before its arrival. Let's examine the performance specifications that make the SR-20 genuinely impressive. Powered by a Continental IO360 engine producing 200 horsepower, the SR-20 cruises at approximately 155 knots, which translates to about 178 miles per hour. This speed advantage over traditional trainers like the Cessna 172 is substantial, cutting travel times by roughly 25 to 30% and making longer cross-country flights significantly more practical. The range is excellent at approximately 800 nautical miles, giving you 5+ hours of flight time with reserves, enough to cross multiple states or reach coastal destinations from interior locations in a single leg. The useful load of the Cirrus SR20 is well optimized, typically ranging from 1,000 to 100 pounds, depending on the specific model and equipment. This capacity means you can carry 4 adults with partial fuel or 2 people with full fuel and substantial baggage. The aircraft's composite construction allowed engineers to optimize the structure for both strength and weight, resulting in loading capabilities that exceed many traditional aluminum aircraft of similar power. For realistic owner missions, this loading flexibility means you rarely face difficult weight and balance decisions. Fuel consumption in the SR20 is impressively efficient given its performance. The aircraft burns approximately 10 to 12 gallons per hour at cruise power settings, which is only slightly higher than a Cessna 172, despite the SR20's significantly greater speed. This efficiency comes from the aerodynamic advantages of composite construction and careful design optimization. When you calculate cost per nautical mile traveled, the SR20 is actually more economical than slower aircraft for covering distance, a critical consideration for pilots who want to use their aircraft for practical transportation. The handling characteristics of the Cirrus SR20 are modern and distinctive, reflecting contemporary design philosophy rather than traditional approaches. The side-stick controller might feel unusual initially for pilots trained on center-mounted yokes, but most find it intuitive and comfortable within a few hours. The control harmony is excellent, with all 3 axes providing consistent and predictable response. The aircraft is stable in cruise, but responsive when maneuvered, offering handling that's both comfortable for long flights and engaging for active flying. The tricycle gear makes ground handling straightforward, though the aircraft's speed means pilots need to respect energy management on approach. Short and soft-field performance in the SR20 is adequate rather than exceptional, which is an honest assessment of the aircraft's design priorities. The Cirrus can operate from runways as short as 2,000 to 2,500 feet under ideal conditions, though most pilots prefer 3,000 feet for comfortable margins. The aircraft's relatively high wing loading and smooth composite surfaces prioritize cruise efficiency over stall capability, which is appropriate given its mission as a fast cross-country tourer. The vast majority of public airports across America are fully accessible, though some of the smallest grass strips might be marginal. Safety features in the Cirrus SR20 are revolutionary and represent the aircraft's most distinctive characteristic. The Cirrus airframe parachute system provides a last-resort emergency option that no traditional aircraft offers: the ability to lower the entire airplane safely to the ground if the pilot becomes incapacitated or the aircraft experiences catastrophic failure. This system has saved dozens of lives in real-world emergencies and provides psychological comfort for pilots and passengers alike. Beyond the parachute, the SR20 features modern crashworthiness design, 26G seats, energy-absorbing structure, and advanced restraint systems that exceed traditional aircraft standards. The avionics package in Cirrus SR20 aircraft sets the standard for modern general aviation. Earlier models featured the Avidyne Integra system, while later models, G2 and beyond, feature the Garmin Perspective Avionics Suite, essentially a certified version of the G1000. These systems provide integrated primary flight displays, multifunction displays with terrain and traffic awareness, autopilot capabilities, weather data integration, and navigation systems that make IFR flying accessible and safe. The panel layout is clean, logical, and designed for efficient scanning, reducing pilot workload and enhancing situational awareness. The maintenance picture for the Cirrus SR20 is generally positive, though it differs from traditional aircraft in important ways. The composite airframe is highly resistant to corrosion and doesn't suffer from the skin and structural issues common in older aluminum aircraft. Composites also allow for more complex aerodynamic shapes that are essentially impossible with traditional construction. However, composite repairs require specialized training and equipment, meaning not every general aviation mechanic can work on structural issues. Parts availability is excellent for common maintenance items, though some Cirrus-specific components can be expensive and are only available through official channels. Annual inspections for a Cirrus SR20 typically run $2,000 to $4,000, depending on location, and any issues discovered, which is higher than traditional aircraft but reflects the more sophisticated systems and composite construction. The parachute system requires repacking every 10 years at a cost of approximately $15,000 to $20,000, which is a significant expense that must be factored into ownership costs. However, this is a predictable cost that can be planned for, and many owners view it as essential insurance for the revolutionary safety capability it provides. Insurance costs for a Cirrus SR20 are notably higher than traditional trainers, reflecting both the aircraft's value and its performance characteristics. As a beginner pilot with appropriate transition training, expect annual premiums of $3,000 to $6,000 for hull coverage on an aircraft valued at $150,000 to $250,000. Insurance companies typically require 10 to 15 hours of dual instruction with a Cirrus standardized instructor pilot, along with recurrent training annually. These requirements add cost but provide genuine value in safety and proficiency, and the Cirrus training programs are exceptionally well designed and effective. Now for the critical question, what does Cirrus SR20 ownership actually cost? The market varies significantly based on model year and equipment, as Cirrus has continuously updated the aircraft throughout its production run. Early SR20 models from the early 2000s can be found in the $120,000 to $180,000 range, offering modern composite construction and basic glass panels at prices competitive with well-equipped traditional aircraft. Mid-generation G2 and G3 models from the mid-2000s to early 2010s typically range from $180,000 to $280,000, featuring refined systems and improved avionics. The newest SR20 models command $400,000 and up, which places them outside the affordable category for most beginner pilots. The sweet spot for value-conscious buyers seeking modern technology is typically a G2 or G3 SR20 from 2005 to 2012, with the Avidyne or early Garmin Perspective systems, mid-time engines, and parachute systems that have been repacked or are due soon. These aircraft offer genuinely contemporary capabilities at prices that make ownership realistic for successful professionals. Expect to invest $200,000 to $250,000 for a well-maintained example. This is significantly more than a Cessna 172 or Piper Cherokee, but you're getting performance, safety features, and technology that traditional aircraft simply cannot match. The training ecosystem for the Cirrus SR20 is highly developed and professional. Cirrus maintains a network of standardized instructors specifically trained in their aircraft and teaching methodologies. The transition training is comprehensive, typically requiring 10 to 25 hours, depending on pilot experience, and covers not just aircraft operation, but also the decision-making framework for using the parachute system. This training represents a significant initial investment, often $3,000 to $6,000, but provides genuine value in safety and competency. The Cirrus approach philosophy emphasizes structured decision-making and risk management in ways that make pilots safer in any aircraft. For cross-country flying, which is where the SR20 truly excels, the aircraft offers capabilities that transform personal aviation. The 155-knot cruise speed means you can cover 600 nautical miles in under 4 hours, making trips that would be overnight commitments in slower aircraft into comfortable day trips. The range means you can fly from the Midwest to either coast with a single fuel stop or cross most individual states without refueling. The advanced avionics make IFR flight accessible and relatively low workload, opening up more flying days and improving dispatch reliability. The comfortable cabin with side-by-side seating and excellent visibility makes longer flights genuinely pleasant rather than endurance tests. The SR-20 also represents a clear path for pilot development. The same aircraft that serves as your first airplane remains relevant and capable as you progress through instrument ratings and advanced certificates. The sophisticated avionics and systems provide an excellent platform for learning advanced flying, while the performance envelope is forgiving enough not to overwhelm developing pilots. Many owners fly their SR-20s for decades, continuously discovering new capabilities as their skills develop, which makes the higher purchase price more justifiable when amortized over long ownership periods. In the context of beginner pilots across America, the Cirrus SR-20 represents a different value proposition than traditional trainers. It's not the cheapest option by any measure, but it offers capabilities, safety features, and technology that simply didn't exist in affordable aircraft before its introduction. For pilots who value modern design, appreciate cutting-edge safety systems, want cross-country performance that makes practical transportation realistic, and can justify the higher acquisition and operating costs, the SR-20 represents extraordinary value. It's proof that general aviation can evolve and improve, bringing contemporary expectations to personal aircraft ownership. 1. Diamond DA-40. The Diamond DA-40 represents Austrian engineering excellence applied to general aviation, offering a unique combination of efficiency, safety, visibility, and handling that has earned it passionate advocates worldwide. Introduced in 2000, this composite aircraft brought European design philosophy to the American market, featuring a spacious cabin with panoramic visibility, highly efficient aerodynamics, and a diesel engine option that dramatically reduces operating costs. For beginner pilots who prioritize efficiency, safety, and modern design, the DA-40 offers capabilities that set it apart from traditional American trainers while remaining affordable to operate. Let's examine the performance specifications that make the DA-40 distinctive. Available with either the Continental IO 360 gasoline engine producing 180 horsepower or the Austro-engine AE 300 diesel producing 168 horsepower, the DA-40 cruises at approximately 135 to 145 knots, depending on the power plant, which translates to about 155 to 167 miles per hour. This speed is faster than traditional trainers, but slightly slower than the Cirrus SR-20, positioning the DA-40 as an efficient cross-country aircraft that prioritizes economy over raw speed. The range is impressive at approximately 700 to 800 nautical miles for gasoline variants and potentially over 1,000 nautical miles for diesel models, giving exceptional endurance and flexibility. The fuel consumption of the Diamond DA-40 is where this aircraft truly distinguishes itself, particularly with the diesel engine option. Gasoline-powered DA-40s burn approximately 8 to 9 gallons per hour, which is remarkably efficient given the aircraft's performance, and matches the Cessna 172 despite significantly greater speed. The diesel variants are even more impressive, consuming approximately 6 to 7 gallons per hour of Jet A fuel, which is not only cheaper than Avgas but also more widely available internationally. This efficiency means the DA-40 offers the lowest cost per nautical mile of nearly any four-seat aircraft, making it exceptionally economical for pilots who fly frequently. The useful load of the Diamond DA-40 is well optimized at approximately 850 to 950 pounds, depending on the model and equipment. While this is somewhat less than aircraft like the Cessna 182, it's entirely adequate for the realistic missions most pilots fly. You can carry 4 adults with reduced fuel for shorter trips or 2 people with full fuel and baggage for maximum range flights. The composite construction allowed engineers to achieve excellent structural efficiency, maximizing useful load despite the sophisticated systems and equipment. The handling characteristics of the Diamond DA-40 are exceptional and represent one of the aircraft's greatest strengths. The control harmony is superb, with all three axes providing consistent linear response that makes precise flying intuitive. The aircraft has a natural stability that makes it comfortable and relatively low workload in cruise, yet it responds crisply to control inputs when maneuvered. The castering nose wheel takes some adaptation for pilots trained in traditional aircraft, but most find it provides excellent ground handling once mastered. The low wing loading and efficient airfoil give the DA-40 excellent climb performance and short field capability for an aircraft of its speed. The visibility from the Diamond DA-40 is simply extraordinary and represents a quantum leap over traditional high-wing trainers. The bubble canopy provides panoramic views in virtually all directions, making traffic scanning, ground reference work, and general situational awareness far superior to conventional aircraft. For training purposes, this visibility is invaluable, allowing instructors and students to maintain visual contact with other aircraft and the ground throughout all phases of flight. For recreational flying, the visibility makes every flight more enjoyable and engaging, allowing you to fully appreciate the landscape and environment. Short field performance in the DA-40 is respectable, with the aircraft capable of operating from runways as short as 2,000 to 2,500 feet under ideal conditions. While not matching dedicated STOL aircraft, this capability makes the vast majority of American airports accessible. The efficient wing design gives the DA-40 good low-speed handling and a relatively gentle stall around 47 knots, providing comfortable margins for traffic pattern work and approach flying. The aircraft's clean aerodynamics mean it requires attention to energy management, as it doesn't slow down as readily as draggier traditional designs, but this is a skill that benefits pilots in all aircraft. Safety features in the Diamond DA-40 are comprehensive and reflect modern design priorities. The composite structure provides excellent crash-worthiness with energy-absorbing characteristics that protect occupants. The fuel tanks are located in the wing's outboard of the cabin, providing protection in certain accident scenarios. The aircraft's gentle stall characteristics and benign spin behavior make it very forgiving of technique errors. Modern DA-40s feature advanced Garmin G1000 avionics with integrated autopilot, terrain awareness, and traffic alerting, providing exceptional situational awareness. While the DA-40 doesn't feature an airframe parachute like the Cirrus, its inherent safety characteristics and sophisticated systems provide excellent protection. The maintenance picture for the Diamond DA-40 is generally favorable, particularly for the airframe. The composite construction is highly resistant to corrosion and doesn't suffer from the fatigue and structural issues that eventually affect aluminum aircraft. The clean aerodynamic design means less complexity and fewer maintenance-intensive features. However, as with any composite aircraft, structural repairs require specialized training and equipment. The diesel engine option, while exceptionally efficient and reliable, requires mechanics with specific training and experience, which can limit service options in some locations. Parts availability is good for common items, though some Diamond-specific components must be sourced through official channels. Annual inspections for a Diamond DA-40 typically run $1,800 to $3,500 depending on location, engine type, and any issues discovered. Gasoline engines follow traditional overhaul schedules and costs, with major overhauls typically running $25,000 to $35,000. The diesel engines have longer time between overhaul intervals, potentially 2,400 hours or more, which significantly reduces hourly operating costs over the aircraft's lifetime. However, diesel overhauls are more expensive, potentially $40,000 to $60,000, though this is offset by the extended intervals. Overall operating costs for the DA-40, particularly diesel variants, are among the lowest in four-seat aviation. Insurance costs for a Diamond DA-40 are reasonable, falling between traditional trainers and high-performance aircraft. As a beginner pilot with appropriate transition training, expect annual premiums of $1,500 to $3,000 for hull coverage on an aircraft valued at $150,000 to $250,000. Insurance companies typically require 5 to 10 hours of dual instruction with a qualified instructor, as the DA-40's handling characteristics and systems differ from traditional trainers. This transition training is genuinely valuable and helps pilots develop proficiency quickly. Now for the critical question, what does Diamond DA-40 ownership actually cost? The market varies based on model year, engine type, and avionics configuration. Early DA-40 models from the early 2000s can be found in the $130,000 to $180,000 range, offering modern composite construction and basic glass panels at competitive prices. Mid-generation models from the mid-2000s to early 2010s typically range from $180,000 to $280,000, featuring refined systems and improved avionics. Diesel variants command a premium of $20,000 to $50,000 over comparable gasoline models, reflecting their superior efficiency and longer engine life. The newest DA-40 models exceed $400,000, placing them beyond most beginner pilot budgets. The sweet spot for value-conscious buyers is typically a mid-2000s to early 2010s DA-40 with the Garmin G1000 avionics, either engine type depending on mission profile, and mid-time engines with clear maintenance history. These aircraft offer genuinely modern capabilities at prices that make ownership realistic for serious pilots. Expect to invest $200,000 to $280,000 for a well-equipped example. This represents significant investment, but you're getting exceptional efficiency, modern safety features, and capabilities that will remain relevant for decades. The training ecosystem for the Diamond DA-40 is well developed, particularly at flight schools that have adopted the aircraft for primary training. Diamond maintains a network of qualified instructors and service centers across America. The transition training is straightforward, typically requiring 5 to 10 hours for pilots with previous experience, covering the castering nose wheel, efficient energy management, and advanced avionics operation. The aircraft's excellent handling characteristics and outstanding visibility actually make it an excellent training platform, and many pilots find the DA-40 easier and more enjoyable to fly than traditional trainers once they adapt to its characteristics. For cross-country flying, the Diamond DA-40 excels through efficiency rather than raw speed. The 135 to 145 knot cruise means you're traveling at practical speeds that make regional trips comfortable, while the exceptional fuel economy means you're doing so at the lowest cost per mile of any four-seat aircraft. The diesel variants are particularly impressive for longer trips, with ranges approaching or exceeding 1,000 nautical miles and fuel costs that can be 30 to 40% lower than gasoline aircraft. The comfortable cabin, exceptional visibility, and advanced avionics make longer flights genuinely pleasant experiences. The DA-40 also offers excellent growth potential for advancing pilots. The sophisticated avionics provide an ideal platform for instrument training and advanced flying, while the efficient design teaches energy management and precision that transfer to all aircraft. Many flight schools use DA-40s for commercial training, recognizing that the aircraft's characteristics prepare pilots well for professional flying. The strong resale market and loyal owner community mean your investment retains value well over time. In the context of beginner pilots across America, the Diamond DA-40 represents a compelling choice for those who prioritize efficiency, visibility, and modern design. It's not the cheapest option, but it offers operating costs that are among the lowest in four-seat aviation, particularly with diesel power. The combination of Austrian engineering, composite construction, exceptional fuel economy, and outstanding visibility creates an aircraft that's genuinely different from traditional American trainers. For pilots who value these characteristics and can justify the higher acquisition cost, the DA-40 offers extraordinary long-term value and satisfaction. We've explored 5 aircraft that represent the pinnacle of affordable, safe flying for beginner pilots across America. Each offers unique strengths that appeal to different pilot priorities and missions. The Cessna 182 Skylane provides exceptional capability and versatility with its powerful engine and substantial useful load, making it ideal for pilots who want serious cross-country performance and the ability to carry 4 adults comfortably. The legendary Piper J3 Cub offers pure flying joy and unmatched operating economy, perfect for pilots who value stick and rudder skills and backcountry adventure over speed and complexity. The Cessna 172 Skyhawk remains the default choice for excellent reasons, combining proven reliability, widespread support, reasonable performance, and affordable operation in a package that simply works for the widest range of missions and pilots. The Cirrus SR20 brings revolutionary safety features and modern performance to personal aviation, offering capabilities that didn't exist in affordable aircraft before its introduction. Ideal for pilots who value contemporary technology and cutting-edge design. Finally, the Diamond DA-40 delivers Austrian engineering excellence with exceptional efficiency, outstanding visibility, and superb handling, particularly appealing to pilots who prioritize operating economy and modern design philosophy. The beautiful truth is that affordable aircraft ownership is more accessible today than many people realize. The key is understanding your mission, being realistic about your needs versus wants, and choosing an aircraft that fits your actual flying rather than theoretical capabilities you'll rarely use. A well-maintained vintage Cessna 172 or Piper Cherokee can provide decades of reliable service at operating costs that make regular flying financially sustainable. Even more modern options like the Cirrus SR20 or Diamond DA-40 offer operating efficiencies that make ownership practical for serious pilots who fly frequently. Remember that the purchase price is just one component of aircraft ownership. Operating costs, including fuel, maintenance, insurance, and hangar or tie-down fees, will substantially exceed your initial investment over years of ownership. This is why choosing an aircraft with reasonable operating costs and strong part support is absolutely critical. The 5 aircraft we've discussed all offer favorable operating economics within their respective categories, making them sustainable long-term propositions rather than financial burdens. The path to aircraft ownership begins with education and realistic planning. Get your pilot certificate if you haven't already, build some experience, and spend time flying or riding in different aircraft types to understand what actually appeals to you. Connect with local flying clubs and aircraft ownership groups to learn from experienced owners about the realities of maintenance, operation, and the lifestyle of aircraft ownership. Consider partnership or club ownership as ways to reduce individual costs while still enjoying regular access to capable aircraft. Most importantly, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. The absolute perfect aircraft for your mission probably doesn't exist, and waiting for it means missing years of flying enjoyment. Any of these 5 aircraft will serve you well, teach you valuable lessons, and provide access to the freedom and adventure that makes aviation so compelling. The best aircraft is the one you actually buy and fly regularly, not the theoretical perfect machine that remains forever out of reach. Your aviation dreams are more achievable than you think. The aircraft are out there, the support infrastructure exists, and the community is welcoming. What's required is decision, commitment, and the willingness to take that first step from dreaming about ownership to actually making it happen. Whether you choose the versatile Cessna 182, the classic Piper Cub, the proven Cessna 172, the modern Cirrus SR20, or the efficient Diamond DA-40, you'll be joining a community of pilots who've discovered that personal aircraft ownership isn't just for the wealthy elite. The sky is calling, and these 5 aircraft provide affordable, safe, reliable answers to that call. Your journey begins with a decision. Which of these incredible aircraft will take you on your next adventure? The choice is yours, and the freedom of flight awaits. Make it happen, because life is too short to keep your dreams on the ground. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the skies.